Good morning, travelers. Tara here, Hidden Lotus Tarot, and I'm coming to you today with a general reading for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of December 2016. Today is November 20th, 2016, the first full day of Neptune direct. Yay! But guess what, people? We have the new moon in Sagittarius coming up on November 29th. I'm not exactly sure the degrees, which would be, I think, between 731 and 742, something like that. I've heard it differently from different astrologers, and depending on what system that they're using of reading the planets, the minutes might be a little bit off, but I know that my south node is going to be pinged. So, excuse me. Let's see. I was up late last night working on my website, and I do not like the mobile version of the theme that I picked, and I don't know if I'm limited with the themes because I have my course thing set up there. I'm not exactly sure, but if you're trying to look for the menu on your mobile device, depending, I suppose, on what mobile device you have, some of you may hit the little menu icon thing button, and there's no menu. What you will see is for the courses, for the tarot classes that I'm going to be teaching. Know that the menu, the main menu, is at the bottom. You'll have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. I don't like that. I'm going to try to work on that today. If you don't know anything about WordPress, you could be on there for years looking at themes. So, and I don't know if it's, I'm limited to what I can use because I have CoursePress there. So anyway, let's see. Is there anything else going on? Oh yeah, I have a private Facebook group. I finally got that set up right. You can go to the About box section and find the, what do you call it? The link, the link to the private Facebook group. I will have to approve you. So if it doesn't happen right away, know that it will happen. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to use that group. A couple of people, I put that question out last night, and a couple of people have come back with some ideas. Let me see what else. I took to Twitter last night. Yay. I have all of these social accounts, and I really don't do anything with them. So I'm trying to change that to bring you guys content, to try to engage you a little bit more across the different social platforms, so to speak. You know, I'm a Virgo. We like, believe it or not, if something ain't broke, we really don't want to be fixing it. Why? Because it ain't broke. But if it's broke, then we go to work on it. So that's that. I went ahead and pre-shuffled the cards, and the first card that presented itself is the moon. Now, keep in mind that this is a general reading, so the messages will not resonate with everyone. Please check back to your moon and rising signs as they are posted, and I would really like to give you a sincere thank you for being patient with me. Nobody has come and asked me anything about when I'm going to be posting up the rest of the videos. If they have, I ain't seen it. So I really want to thank you for your patience while I'm kind of going through this transition. And to my new subscribers, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming aboard. To all you diehards that have been so kind and so patient with me, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let's see. We're going to go ahead and I can't even talk. Get started with the reading. Okay. In order to, if you want more information pertaining your situation, some more clarity, because this is general, that requires a personal reading. And you can always go to the little icon there in the right-hand corner of the video. Click on one of those links. It'll take you directly over to the site. Please know that I think they're still doing some updating or whatever with the domain name. They said it's been transferred over, but I'm not receiving the forms. I figured out a way to make it all one step. I'm going to try to be working on that today. So if you contact me and I send back, say, hey, I haven't gotten your form, let me know what problem that there is. Say like I didn't see the form or I sent it or what have you. And that'll let me know on the back end that there's something going on with the website. Of course, it's Sunday and there's nothing I can do about it, right? So let's go ahead and get started. We do have the moon here. Now, the moon is in astrology does represent the sign of Cancer, and it represents the fourth house. This is the house of home, family, your roots, um, your DNA, and the mother. In the tarot, however, the moon is represented by Pisces. Now, Pisces is ruled by Neptune. So we do know that Neptune went direct today. It is a big outer planet. So I would assume, I haven't talked to any astrologers about this or astronomers, but I would assume that it's probably going to take perhaps a month for it to get back up to speed. It's because it's a big outer planet, it travels slower. It's not like Mercury when it goes retrograde. It slows down 2 weeks before the retrograde, then it goes into retrograde phase. Once it turns direct, it takes 2 weeks for it to come back up. Why? Because it's closer to the sun, it's smaller, and it moves a bit faster. It has a faster orbit. So I think that we may be feeling the effects of the Neptune going direct all the way into January 2017. However, by that time, we will be well into our Mercury retrograde. So again, this time you may gain a little bit of clarity because Neptune creates a bunch of confusion, shifting sands, not knowing where you stand, where other people stand, maybe believing, seeing, or hearing things that aren't there, not fully being fully certain about what's happening around you in whatever area that you're affected in. Well, then, we're looking to gain the clarity now that Neptune is going back into direct, but we may not be able to communicate that to people with the Mercury direct. So let's go ahead and lay the rest of the cards. The moon typically represents deep emotions. It can represent fears, shadow work, subconscious work. And by shadow work, I mean going within and looking at those things that really cause you trouble in your life. Okay, a lot of times those things are based upon things from childhood, how you react to things, and it's not necessarily. Sometimes it could be inherited, and then sometimes it could be just because of the environment in which you were raised in. And then you have these unconsciously, whether we realize it or not, if we have children, we transmit our fears to them, okay, or whatever the parents' issues are. Those are like sometimes unconsciously transmitted to the kids. So this is what the moon is all about. Let's lay the 9 cards. Judgment. Oh, there's that Pluto. And the Star. Well, 2 of the luminaries. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel and may not know a lot about tarot card reading, these cards are called Major Arcana. There are 22 of them, and they represent the arc of spiritual development. In other words, these are situations that you're going to run into in your life, but the situations are designed to help you learn on a soul level for your soul evolution, your soul growth, so that you can, become quote unquote a better person, not only for yourself, but for the entire world and the community. The 2 luminaries, actually there are 3 luminaries. There's the moon, the star, and the sun. These 3 cards represent forces that affect everything, okay? In other words, it is the astrology or astronomy, planetary events. This could be tidal events and oceans, okay? And then the sun, of course, is the giver of life. It can either burn us to a crisp or it can burn out and then we all die. So the luminaries always represent forces that affect everything. So we have 2 of them with judgment in the center. Also, They hold more weight, the major arcanas, than any of the pip cards. And the pip cards are going to be your court cards, your kings, your knights, your pages, your queens, and then any of the numbered cards, the aces through the number 10. So now, the moon, judgment, the star, the king of pentacles, the four of swords, the king of swords. So I have two kings here. That's interesting. I don't know if these are two separate people or if this is two separate aspects of one person, whether same-sex or heterosexual, whomever's going to have this male energy. But also, even as females, we can embody male energies, and as males, we can embody female energies. It's the balance. The strength card. Well, there's that stinking hangman, and that represents Neptune. I used to hate that card. I really did, but it used to come up so often in my personal readings. I'm like, God, that's like the weight card. So, and well, here we go. And I feel that this last row here is really speaking to Neptune going direct, that forward movement. Underneath, I have and I was just talking about this. This is the Sagittarius card in the deck. And we do have the new moon in Sagittarius coming up. So in one respect, this is speaking to planetary transits, and that whatever situation the cards are going to reveal to us, okay, there's some news coming, and it is most definitely brought about for a lot of us through planetary transits, okay? I think for everybody, because I have these two luminaries here, and they affect everything. They affect everything. We cannot escape the forces of nature. So let's see. I don't have any repeater cards in terms of numbered cards. That's usually significant. But I do have these two kings. Now, just for GP, this is going to represent an earth sign, which would be Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. This traditionally represents Taurus, which is our second house, about our finances. And then he's going to represent an air sign, Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius. Now, a lot of people say that this card represents Aquarius, and we do have a Mars and Aquarius transit going on as well. This card rules typically our communications, the third house. No, Aquarius does not rule. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, and I think that is, I want to say that, no, that's not the 12th house. The first house, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody who knows that, well, you can't turn the comments off, but I don't think that's right, so don't quote me on that. But Uranus is all about, and Aquarius is all about future forward oriented thinking in terms of how can we do things for the greater humanity, okay? Now, in the center, I have this Four of Swords, and this represents the Four of Swords in this deck, represents the transit of Jupiter in Libra, which is what we're in right now, and it will be continuing. It entered Libra, I think, September 10th, and each sign gets to host Jupiter every 12 years. So we've just gone into the first real month, I think, of Jupiter in Libra. Now, Jupiter is known as the great benefic. In other words, whatever it touches, it wants to expand. Okay, it's about growth and abundance and good times and good food and friends and, having a good time. And usually you get it after you have your Saturn return, and it is such a welcome relief because those Saturn returns are so hard. Each sign typically represents Saturn for 2 years, but it can take almost 4 years for you to really, really come out of it. So after you've had that hard spate going on, Jupiter kind of comes in to, give you that break, and it presents a bunch of opportunities for you. Now, The sign of Libra rules the 7th house, and the 7th house is known as the house of marriage, but that's on the surface, okay? The real work of marriage is done in the 8th house, because that's where you make all the decisions. Are we going to buy or rent? Are we going to have a mortgage? Are we going to pay for that mortgage together? What about insurance? What about wills, estates? What about alimony? What about child rearing? How often are we going to have sex and when? So the real work of relationships in terms of marriages are done in the 8th house. Now, Jupiter is not, I'm sorry, Libra is the house of marriages, but it's also the house of partnership. Okay. So it's not just about marriages between couples. This could be the marriage that you have with your job, the marriage that you're wedded to your family, you're wedded to your job, you're wedded to your friends. So those are the partnerships. But the most important partnership ever that you can have is the one that you have with yourself, because no matter whether you're married, who you work with, who your family are, who your friends are, you are still a common denominator in that particular partnership, okay? That's also known as the house of open enemies. So what once could have turned out to be something really beautiful could descend into plain old chaos and ugly fighting out in public, all right? Open enemies, one or the other. So Libra is about the balance, and this, I think, whole year of Jupiter and Libra is going to represent resets in all types of partnerships, marriages, familial setups, friendships, and groups. That's what Aquarius and Uranus rule. They rule groups, as well as Sagittarius. What else? Are you wedded to your children? What about ex-partners or ex-rivals? Is this my potential future past lover, or is this my potential future or past rival? So these are the questions I think that are going to be coming about. The Four of Swords represents taking a time out. So in other words, there's changes. There's obviously things happening. Things, I think, in one respect that we really cannot control. And that's what the major arcana, they're kind of like forces beyond your control. I think for many people, regardless of what area of life that they're struggling in, there are a lot of questions coming up about moving forward. What things are changing. And the reason why I say that is because we have the Judgment, and that represents Pluto. And Pluto likes to come in. He is fire, and he raises things to the ground. He does it by bringing up a bunch of old negative ways of thinking, behavior, addictions. He gets to the root, down to the root, and he exposes those things. That's what he likes to do. He's about power and control as well. And he comes in to bring all that stuff up so you can kind of work it out. So everything's being, in a sense, worked out on a subconscious level. And many of you, I think, have had to really just take a time out from that. You're like, I don't even know where all this stuff is coming from. And it has created a lot of confusion. Now, interestingly, the moon is ruled by Pisces, and Neptune is the higher octave. So this is about perhaps, what do you love? How do you love it? How has it been serving you? What have you been getting out of it? What have you been putting into it? Why are these things coming up? Because you're being asked now to transform it onto a level that's something higher. Okay. And for many of us, we have really just had to take a break, a step back, because it's a lot of work. It's painful. This will have come about for some of you, perhaps in dreams, perhaps messages, seeing sequences of numbers. Like I see 111 a lot, or 1111 a lot. Hearing the same song over and over again. Hearing somebody's name all over again. What we people call synchronicities. Okay. And so we've had to take a step back from that. That's very, very powerful energy, but it's designed to come in and help heal you. This is what the star is all about. It's about healing. It's about optimism. It's about hope. It is about wishes and dreams. It is about showing yourself as who you are. That's what the naked lady there represents. Now, she also, this card represents Aquarius, okay? And she represents Venus. And guess what? Taurus in the second house rule Venus, okay? And Venus is about the beauty, the wealth, the income, the woman, the love. It's about the good things in life, okay? Jupiter, that's combining with Jupiter. But Venus also, in terms of ruling the second house, this is about the money that you earn. It is about your relationship to the things that you own. It is about your financial security. It is also about your self-worth and your self-esteem, okay? It is about how do you value those things, okay? What kind of value do you place on that? And what type of value do you place on yourself? In other words, you may not have a whole bunch of, let's say, Donald Trump money, but you still may have something of value. Everybody always has something of value that they can contribute, okay? So this may be some of you questioning, am I being fairly compensated in whatever way that means for the skills and the abilities and the gifts that I bring to the table? So I think there's going to be a reshuffle on this. People are going to be realizing, some of you may be changing jobs. Most definitely there are going to be lots of relationship changes here and across the board. I can see that the Strength card has come out. Now, this represents Leo, and I think we have some kind of transit going on in Leo as well. Leo is outgoing and gregarious and can sometimes be quite selfish, but very, very lovable. He rules, I think, is it the 5th house, which is of children. And I can see here that there's one kid in the center. Excuse me. Fun and romance. And maybe what this row here, and oh, sorry, past, present, future, the interplay of the cards. And maybe what this row is saying is that there's someone who's dealing with issues of their self-worth, perhaps surrounding children and family issues, or what they do for fun or romance, so to speak. Because sometimes, even though, you know, the moon can be something that's quite romantic, I have these this diagonal here. The moon, the star, and the hanged man. And sometimes I read the moon and the star, or the, let's say if the moon and the sun have come out, that's speaking to some type of attraction, sort of like magnets. But there's a hold up, or there's a weight on that. Okay. Now, this card also is about taking a risk. And this, I think, sits in a very, very prominent position because it's the last card down in the past vertical, but it's the first card out on the future row. Okay. Now, I can see that for some, they have really been trying to block out whatever this is. If this is not a person, an air sign individual, then I read this as an energy. And if you look at that, this energy is like, I just don't even have time for it. They're not willing to listen to. And that's what the swords is all about. The swords are about communications, beliefs, perceptions, ideas. And this is someone who perhaps things are coming up for them. And that's communication. Self-communication is communication. And they're not wanting to deal with that. Okay. And maybe thus far, they've been very successful in blocking that out. Okay. Now, if this is going to represent a person, this is going to be someone who is a mastermind. They're going to be emotionally distant. They can be a police officer, a soldier, a surgeon, someone who works in communications. But typically they are someone who does not allow emotions to come into play. They really are based in the logical world. Sometimes they can be very, very difficult to deal with because they may seem as though they have no feelings whatsoever. They could also be very hurtful in the way that they speak to people. You know, that's just a general characteristic. Okay. Now, this person is typically going to be somebody who is a business owner, or who is very, very wealthy, maybe handles a lot of money in terms of what they do, can be a great father, a great provider. Even if this is a female, you know, these are still the similar qualities that you can apply to both males or females. And but also in the negative can be somebody who is what's the word? Can be someone who's very base in what they do. They overeat, they overdrink, they philander, they can be stingy, can everything done in excess. So that's that. And that could also be why the Strength card has come out with this person, because all of that stuff now is coming up. Okay. And they themselves are either working through this energy. Okay. And they're coming to some type of perhaps realization. This card is about taking a risk as well. Okay. Now, if I look over here, what I'm picking up from this end is that this is someone, I think, again, who is, some things maybe have come through that they've really, really been working on very, very hard. Hopes, dreams, wishes. This could also be about somebody who wants to show themselves as who they are. Maybe they've been in the space of being a workaholic, and that really is only a part of who they are, not all of who they are. Okay. And maybe the time has come now for this person to shed whatever it is that they need to shed. The pentacles are about the doing, the practical doing of the work. If we look at this card, that's a lot of emotion-based energy with all that water there, okay? But the stars also speak to a clarity, okay? You stand outside and you look up at the night sky and you can see the beautiful stars twinkling. Well, the light is very, very far away, and it does not give us a whole lot of illumination on the situation, but nevertheless, we can see them twinkling up above. So it kind of speaks to, in one sense, projecting what it is that you want, or sending out your manifestations to those 1,000 points of light. Oh my God, did I just use a George Bush old man Bush term? Tickle myself. Okay, I don't know where that came from, but anyway, God, I'm channeling old man Bush. Okay, but you send those wishes and those hopes and those manifestations out into the universe. And again, these are things that affect everything. But we can see as well that this is creating some confusion. Now, if this is someone coming up on a work project that they've been working hard on, it's finally looks like it's coming together. Well, now there's a whole bunch of options. Now there's a whole bunch of decisions that they've got to make. So, God, what do I do? What's the right thing? I don't know. How am I going to handle it all? Oh, out of place. Now, for some of you, there may be some kind of legal issue. I do have the Judgment here, and sometimes I could see this as this person as being a judge. This person could also be a judge because they could be holding the purse strings, okay? So this could be some type of business deal going together. What's interesting, I think, what I find is the imagery of the three people in the Judgment card. So it's a man, a woman, and a child. And maybe this is a legal issue over child custody. Maybe this is, I really don't see, except for these two women. And if I had to just take a stab at it, air sign or earth sign because of Venus, or earth with a lot of air qualities, or air with some earth qualities, combination of both, and then a fire sign. So there may be some issue with a female over child custody issues or child rearing issues. I could see really that there's, some stuff coming up from the past, and it's, having to take a break from it because there's no clarity on the situation. And maybe this is why this King of Swords has come out, because with the Star card above the King, this is trying to get to the clarity, and perhaps this is saying that things haven't been worked out just yet. There's still some unknowns about it. But then here comes the Temperance card. And the Temperance card is all about balancing the fire and the water. It is, I look at fire element as being very, very, very much related to emotions. We can be passionate. People can be fiery. Um, they can move suddenly, come through, you know, like a tempest. And then water is flowing very, sometimes very slow, very fast. But the fire element in the tarot rules your desires, your ambitions, your willpower, your fighting spirit. And the water rules your emotions, how you feel about things, uh, how receptive you are to other people's emotions and energies. Uh, how do you either project or not project your emotions outward or onto other people or into certain situations? And so this is about finding that balance. Another thing that I saw an old interpretation the other day, and I'd never considered that, but this card could also be about moving or taking a journey. Yeah. Why? Because we have, I always used to say, well, that's, you know, the path to your, and that still holds true. That's the path to your new, you know, the path that leads you towards your new spiritual journey. Okay. You don't get there until you heal some stuff, whatever this is all about. But this could literally be you taking a trip, going someplace. And I don't know if you can see in the background there's that path leads into mountains. So in other words, you know, you're going to encounter obstacles as you move through this. Once you heal from this, there are going to be more obstacles on the other side. Most of us would like to think that once we go through a challenge, we go through it and then we don't, everything else is smooth sailing. Well, that's not the way life is. There are always going to be challenges and obstacles. And the key is to remain balanced. Now I have the 2 cups here, and I have, in effect, the 2 jugs. So I think there are going to be a lot of emotions that come up around whatever these changes will be coming in. Sagittarius rules people at a distance, foreigners, higher education, spirituality, philosophy, cults, groups. Um, It is also known as the guru sign, but it is also a very, very freedom loving sign at the same time. In other words, it's kind of like live and let live, you know. And so maybe this card combined with the judgment is speaking to about uh, maybe somebody has a fear of losing control of who they are. They've been trying to keep that shit under wraps. Uh, it could be, you know, and sometimes people want to control things and situations around them. Um, and people are like, oh, that person's so controlling. But really what that control stems from is the fear they have themselves of losing control in whatever way, shape, or form that means. So let's take a look at this. I do feel at some point you're going to gain some clarity. There will be some heart healing coming up, messages coming in from the higher self. And you're being asked to remain balanced here. As you can see, the angel has 1 foot in the water and the other on the land. And the irises in the background represents a purity and an innocence. So to me, it's, again, it speaks to some kind of reset for people in different ways. We are moving into the Aquarian age. We have been in the age of Pisces. Okay. That's why you see the symbol of the fish for the Christians. They have it on, you know, the little emblems that you see. Okay. Well, that's the major time of the prophet and prophets, because there were many of us during many of them during the Piscean age. There was Buddha, there's Muhammad, there's the major 3, and Jesus. So this is the time of the prophets. We're moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. So on a larger scale, this is not just on a personal level, but on a larger scale, we're being asked to heed the message, heed the warnings, and to listen to and pay attention to really what is going on, because we're literally being called to a new way of life. Those of us people that are my age, um, our role, if we're going to look at the sign, this is also could be a card of leadership in educating the younger generation. Um, those are the children who are going to lead us into the Aquarian age, and that's going to be something totally different. It's more of a quote unquote utopian kind of belief for society. How can everyone benefit and share, you know, the resources of the earth and the planet and be respectful towards each other? Now, we know that as humans, that's just not going to be anything easy. We can't even agree on the correct way to worship the divine. That's why we have the different religions. Nobody can even agree. Um, but ultimately, really, you know, that's a whole nother reading. So I do feel that in one sense, now for some of you, this may be too new agey, and that's cool. Um, I think that we are being asked to prepare ourselves for a major leap forward. And in order to do that, big shifts are going to have to happen. A reevaluation of our values, of what we have to offer. And really, it all is based around love, higher love. Um, this could be you getting together with somebody. Let's say you got a twin flame, and you know y'all haven't, and it's just been making you nuts. Well, this could possibly be that you guys, and typically that's what that means, is that those twin souls or twin flames have come together because there's work to be done. Okay, but the work is it's some kind of project that's going to help future humanity. But in order to do that, you first have to come together to learn to love yourself and then love other people. Those people who may challenge you in some way, shape, or form. So I want to take a look at these. There's a hold on this. There's more to come. Let me put it that way. Um, and always remember that the hanged man is not where someone has come along and drugged this guy up and strung him up on this cross here. This guy did it himself. He had to put himself up and take a time out. He had to suspend. It's like being in a state of suspended animation so that he can really gain the clarity. Now, I will mention one thing here. Perhaps someone is have maybe dealing with some kind of medical issue, let's say operation on the knee, the foot, the hip, the leg, the lower back. Someone could even be experiencing vertigo. I have this guy here, the King of Swords. So someone could be going through some medical. And if that's the case, you know, we're looking at thinking and not knowing really how that outcome is going to, I would venture to say that if the temperance has come out, it's going to be a slow going healing process. But ultimately, if you follow the instructions, like directions, you take care of yourself as instructed, and as you probably know that you should, then you will be able to move through that. Okay. Quite, you know, what's interesting is this whole row at the top, there's water here. See that? The pool. They're floating. Those sarcophagi or coffins are floating on water. There's water there. There's water there. I don't know what that means. We know that water is emotion based. I'm trying to see what maybe what if the cards will. Two towers. Here, that's the gates. We could say it's either the gate into the underworld or the gate out of the underworld. Pluto, he rules the underworld. And even here, the mountains are covered with snow, okay? Maybe it's a time of feeling isolated. What do I know? Maybe you're getting a call to move by water out of the mountains. You know, what do I know? I just read cards. And I say that because I have these kind of pastoral scenes here. Green fields, verdant, flatland. Flatland. You see? Flatland. Here, this guy's in a garden. Flatland. There are trees here. This is the only card that has trees in it. I mean, that are prominent. That there's a little tree way in the background. This guy, there's trees. See those? Now, you know, the one thing I've noticed about this card is in the old deck, you see the birds flying high above them. In this deck, the Radiant White, there are no birds above this guy. And I don't know if that's significant or not. I don't know if this is speaking to a winter time. There are no birds though. And I always thought that was kind of curious. That the birds in the King of Swords represent the ability to take the long view, to see things at a distance. Worry and anxiety, dispiacere on the moon card. The Il Nemico. Now, see, this is either, like I said, it's either an open enemy, a rival, okay, or it could be you finding out that you yourself have been your own worst enemy. But whatever this is, it's coming up on the moon. And perhaps some depression surrounding it, okay? If this is stuff coming up from the depths of your subconscious, of your psyche, and it's causing, you know, someone to feel depressed about that. Granted, it's never pretty to take a look at ourselves, you know, but we're human, full of foibles and idiosyncrasies and personality quirks, fears, dogged, you know, rigid beliefs and dogma, like things that were ingrained from our parents, whether consciously or unconsciously. The messaggere. This is about spiritual messages. This card says the message from far away. In other words, the messenger. Okay. Now, the message that comes in, it does not say whether or not that it is a good news or bad news, but falling on top of the star card indeed tells me that these are messages coming in that's borne out by the horn with the in the judgment card. I think we're gaining some clarity on those things that have caused us to burn our own houses, scorched earth, let me put the other card down. Again, major transitions, the Amalato. Now, I did bring up the medical thing, okay, and we do have that flag there, the banner on the judgment card, that to me is the international symbol of help, or hospitals. If you've ever traveled to Europe, that's the symbol that you see. Also, I think this is the flag of, is it Switzerland? I don't know if it's Switzerland. I think it is. So maybe there's a connection to somebody in Switzerland, and some who may be ill, perhaps. Now, I think this is quite astounding. There are 3 cards that have come out on the Hanged Man. higher love, um, La Vecchia Signora. Now, remember I was talking to you about Venus, and Venus rules the beauty, the love, the income. Mostly it deals with women. She represents the feminine women. She's also represents the Empress in the tarot card. So this could be someone that you either need to talk to or you will be talking to. This individual is an older female and will be able to give you, impart some clarity on your situation, because she speaks to changes. You know, things can't stay the way that they are, you know, and if you don't get out and do something about it, you know, the situation will never change. You know, I knew someone similar that was in a similar situation, or I myself have been faced with something similar to this, you know, and it took me forever to figure it out, but eventually I figured out, blah, 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 blah. Changes. Amore. Now, wasn't I just speaking to you about the love of self, the love of others, and the higher love? The Donna Maritata. Now, if this does not speak to, remember I was talking about, it could be about child custody issues. It could be about past, present, potential lovers. Do you want to be a step parent? How do you feel about children? What about if we adopt? Do you want to have babies? How do you feel about being an aunt or an uncle? Pluto, he rules the 8th house, the house of Scorpio. Remember I was talking to you, the 7th house is marriage, but that's the surface crap. That's what you project to people and what people see from the outside. The 8th house, okay, is where you make all of those decisions. So if this is not about some kind of bond coming up here, a change through the astrology and the realization of perhaps unconditional love, then this represents someone who has a capacity to nurture, someone who's going to be, I feel, kind, and has all kinds of, in a sense, healing ability in many, many ways. Now, of course, we can see that, you know, if you're thinking of leaving a relationship and joining forces with someone else, that poses lots of challenges. If you have been single and you're looking to join forces again with someone, again, that poses challenges. For some of you, you will be discovering that you don't want to join with anyone else. Okay, that could pose challenges in its own right. So I think that as we move forward, coming out through the Neptune retrograde, I can't even say that, into 2017, this whole year is going to be, I think, something very, very remarkable across the entire spectrum as it deals with partnerships. And just kind of give it time. And I'm also feeling, in one respect, that someone thinks that someone is either hiding something or being deceptive from them, to them, around them, with them. And that's possible. That's very possible. And not being able to really cut through that and get through it. But this will pass. It will pass. All right. I don't know how long that video was, but I hope that message helped you, Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And until next time, namaste. Oh crap! It didn't. Cancers, I wanted to impart this message to you because it just came to me. It was the moon with the Four of Swords. I have already redone the deck, so I can't find the cards. But the cards of the moon with the Four of Swords, with the King of Pentacles, and the King of Swords. There's going to be a moon wobble between November 29th and December 4th. And this could be where you might end up getting into arguments with people simply because you either somebody wants to be right, or you feel that you're going to have all of the answers to prove yourself in some way, shape, or form. Um, if you can take a step back, please mark those dates down, November 29th through December 4th. So try to, like the Four of Swords, withdraw yourself from the situation and focus more on what's happening on the inside of you. Do a gut check and kind of remove yourself from those situations, because it's going to just create a lot of havoc. And that could be what that Seven of Cups was, a lot of confusion. So you may want to just kind of take a step back and do a gut check during that time frame. And so if people are pushing your buttons, only you can choose how you're going to react to them. They're not forcing you to do anything. The situation is bringing itself up so that you can really take a step back and focus on your own emotions, or whatever it is, your own thoughts. It could be really about you being stubborn, there with the Taurus, the King of Pentacles, or it could be about you feeling the need that you've got to be right. It could even be you trying to combine the two together. You stubbornly think that you have to be right. So that was the last message I wanted to share with you. Be like Venus. Focus on yourself and take a look at yourself, and try to come from a place of love. That may sound so hokey, but it's so true. All right, that's it. Bye.